Hi guys, I'm Shmee, hello and welcome back to the channel where today we are at the Shmuseum for an early start to head over to an event with collecting cars where I know there is going to be at least one Koenigsegg and probably some more very exciting things, but perhaps the most exciting for me is today to head out for a drive in my friend's Guntherwerks. Now this car has been resident here in my garage for a short period. It is soon to be collected by its owner. It is the Winchester, effectively a one-off of the 25 cars, a remastered 993 with a 435 horsepower naturally aspirated engine, a lot of weight savings, carbon fibre bodywork and beautiful design elements by the team from Guntherwerks. We're going to have a quick look at the car before getting it out onto the road to experience it for myself as we head in the pursuit of hypercars at today's Collecting Cars event. A few quick words then about this car, the Guntherwerks 911, before we get it started and head out, because when you start to take in all of the details of this, you realise the extent that the team have gone to make perfection. Taking the 993 and answering a question they posed themselves, what if Porsche had made a GT product of the 993 generation 911, something they didn't do until the 996, and as a result we have a 435 horsepower 4 litre flat 6, which we will take a look at in a moment because it is beautiful, housed in a car with an entirely carbon fibre body, beautiful design, special wheels made for the purpose, even their own in-house headlights, and so many other elements about it that make it very, very, very special. It is effectively remastering the 993, but basically building everything pretty much from the ground up to make it this. And if you stand right around the front, you realise how wide this car is. Traditionally, it would have had a much narrower front end, but look at those rear arches, for example. It's got a more squared up setup, 6 inches wider than standard, obviously sitting very low, but you can see the shape, the sculpture of the bodywork, the exposed carbon weave on the Winchester example here with the carbon stripe running up over the bonnet, over the roof, over towards the back of the car. It is a very elegant finish as well in this pearlescent white paintwork, but as I said, all of these details, for example, creating the headlight in-house, the lens, the halo effect of the running light around, the partnership with Dymag to make these period style wheels with the magnesium center sections and the carbon fiber barrels running on P0 road tires at the moment. These are actually 335 wide at the rear, 295 wide at the front. Those are some very, very wide tires, it has to be said. But then look at all of the details, this full width tail light running across the back, those fighter jet style exhaust pipes sitting in the center, all of these lovely finishing touches. And check out the interior of this as well. The carbon fibre seats, the style of the 993, but modernised. Carbon door cards. We've got our Winchester limited to 1 of 25 plaque here, the traditional 5 dials for the 911, the small but very accurate steering wheel, this whole carbon fibre tray area in the back. Truly, truly stunning. If I open up the engine, come and have a look at this. Effectively, they started with the block from the 993, but they make it into this. That is a work of art if I have ever seen one. This is truly stunning. Traditional rear-engined 911 setup, 435 horsepower in a car that is 800 pounds, just over 300 kilos lighter than the standard 993, so coming in at 1160 kilos, 2600 pounds, which is ridiculously light for that amount of power. They have actually taken it to Laguna Seca and set a lap record for a naturally aspirated Porsche, so faster even than a 991.2 GT3 RS, for example, which gives you a sense of what this is capable of. And when it's designed and presented like that, with the gold, as you can see on the upper sections for the heat shields, this is really something special. We've got the ducktail back here as well. Close it down, click that into place, and I'm very, very excited in a moment to take it out. In fact, I want to show you up front quickly as well, because even underneath the bonnet or hood is presented beautifully. Just need to find the catch right here. Have a look at this, where you plug in your charger. That's just, I mean, this is on a different level. This is something you can see the exposed carbon weave on the underside there as well. This is out of this world in terms of presentation. The badge here underneath the lacquer as well. So we're going to head out with it and go and chase, I suppose, some hypercars over at today's Collecting Cars event. And I figured this would be very on theme to take. It's good to get it out for a run. It's been parked up for the last couple of months. Shortly for my friend, the owner, to return back to collect it again. So let me hop on board, we'll get it started and very shortly head out on the road. This is a very, very special cabin. Look at that view. Everything beautifully presented. Of course, it is a manual 6-speed shifter, traditional 911 style. The key goes to the left, but let's get this started up quickly. Oh yes, listen to that. Raw, angry, ready to rev, ready to be driven. So we'll get it warmed up quickly and then go and find out what it's like to drive. But if my impressions so far are anything to go by, this is going to be spectacular. It is one of those days where it is very cold and very foggy. Now we do have ordinary tyres, the regular P0s, as opposed to some sticky rubber, but nonetheless, with 435 horsepower, not very much by way of electrical aids, and some slightly slippery ground potentially, we're going to be taking this quite easily to make it to the Collecting Cars event, where there should be a Koenigsegg that has come over from the Far East. Now driving in here, you instantly feel involved with this car. It is raw, it is noisy, it is visceral, you feel it all, and that's what the excitement is all about. So many modern cars are very easy, everything's simple, everything's smooth, everything's calm, everything's quiet. In something like this, it's about you. It's about you being involved with it. It's about you doing this, flipping down through the gears, revving it up a little bit, and of course we're still warming the car up at the moment, but feeling part of it, and this does it in abundance. The looks combined with the engineering angle behind it, and you might just look at the car and if you're not versed in these things think, oh hey, that's an old Porsche, that's an old 911. No, this is new, this is very, very top-end stuff. This is a car that has been immaculately created and presented, and while it's slightly fussy, let's say, to drive, you've got these very, very wide arches that you can't really see all that much of in the door mirrors, and a little bit conscious obviously that it's a left-hand drive car here in the UK on the left-hand side of the road as well, but I tell you what, it puts a smile on your face, and that's what this stuff is all about, and that's what so many modern cars will never do. We have this period or era where I think resto mods and older cars being brought up to modern standards are going to become even more significant than they already are. Listen to this. Listen to this, and this is just, I'm only at 4,000 RPM when I'm upshifting at the moment. This can go all the way up to nearly 8,000, and you can bet at that end of the rev counter it's going to sound monumental, but just the feel of everything. The shifter is perfectly positioned, the pedals feel wonderful, just the right amount of feel on the brake and the throttle and the clutch, and when we drop it down through the gears it's super easy to just blip it in from one to the next and feel connected with it. And this small Alcantara steering wheel, the way the whole interior is presented with the carbon dash running all the way along, I feel right at home in here, right at home. And as you might notice, up ahead is my C63 Black Series. We're convoying over with the two cars at the moment, just making sure all is well on the road and getting, I suppose, familiar with this. And I will point out that the wipers are struggling with the amount of mist in the air at the moment. But hey, that's a pretty small thing to be worrying about when you're driving a Guntherwerks 911. And obviously the most, I would say, famous of this segment is Singer with the 964s. And I came across Guntherwerks the first time when visiting my friend Dan Amai, who has a full carbon example as well. And they also more recently introduced the Speedster, so more offerings on the 993 platform. But I think very little of this is actually shared with 993. They have taken the chassis, they've widened it like the race cars from the era, as opposed to the road cars where typically you'd have a lot of understeer. Obviously they've given it these massive 295 wide front tyres. Oh, it's so torquey, which I need to be a little bit conscious of, grabbing or potentially being quite lethal in the conditions if not respected. I think it's a big part of a car like this to respect it, and obviously we're going to have it fully detailed after this drive, obviously. Just being, oh, listen to that. I'm just building into the rev band, getting a little bit familiar with it. Wow. Wow, this is epic. Gosh, I just need the sun to come out and burn off these clouds and make things a little bit more pleasant for us. Oh, it's so good up into second gear. Everything feels right. Everything feels as it should. That's what I'm talking about. That's what it's about. Go through a little tunnel. Yes! Oh, this is driving pleasure. It might not be as fast in a straight line as a 1500 horsepower modern hypercar. But you know what? It makes you concentrate and it rewards you. And that's why I love my GT8 out of so many of the cars in my collection, is that it's not fast, it's about the same power as this, it's a lot heavier than this, but it makes you work for it. And if you get it right, it lets you know, and boy does it feel good as a result. I've actually got an M2 behind me at the moment, a Long Beach Blue M2, presumably heading where we're heading, so Collecting Cars, the auction site, are putting together today's event, and I believe there should be some pretty awesome stuff in attendance. So this is why I decided to head on over. It's not too far from our base, and seemed like the perfect opportunity today to take this for a little run. Yeah, it's definitely a cold day out there. All right then, here we are. There are some very cool cars around. GT3 RSs are plenty, lots of Porsches, which is one of the reasons why I wanted to bring this today. I can see an 812 Superfast. I can see Vantage F1 Edition Cayman GT4 ahead of me. All right, this is busy. I see a Pagani Huayra. I see plenty of Porsches. Awesome. All right. Okay, now's when I realize quite how much this shakes you around and you feel it when I've turned it off. So let me go have a look around and see what's here. We have parked up the two cars there then. We have a few more arrivals at the moment, 812 followed by a Hurricane. In fact, there are a lot of very, very nice cars around, and I'm going to try my best to squeeze on through to show you some of what's happening here, because I can hear a Koenigsegg revving. In fact, LaFerrari, Pagani Huayra, there is the one-to-one, there's another Pagani, there's the Koenigsegg Agera here, and the Green Goblin Koenigsegg just behind. 3 Koenigsegg's, 2 Paganis, and LaFerrari, and a Guntherwerks, all at the same event. Pearl white here. This LaFerrari's opened up at the moment. That's cool. Completely different types of cars, obviously, to what I've come here with. Something there, is that a 911R or GT3 Touring? I'm sure you can just about hear that. The crowd here. The green Koenigsegg, the other green Koenigsegg, incredible things. But yes, as you can tell, it is really very, very busy. I'm going to do my best to have a little look around at some of the lovely cars that are here. This is Carl Hartley's Pagani Huayra, spotted that one a few times before. This is a Koenigsegg that I've seen a number of times as well. One of the 6 one-to-ones, which I think is probably my favourite Koenigsegg ever. There were only the 6 production cars, plus one extra, which was the original prototype, the 7th. This through Super Vettura in the dark blue carbon with the white accents. That is absolutely beautiful. Green on green, classic Aston. Love it. 992 Turbo S, event doors. We come on through. There is an STO, that's the HRO and demo STO. Next to it is Zach's Garage's Lamborghini Countach. Next to that, there's a red Aventador SVJ. As you can see, it's pretty busy around here, but let's try and squeeze on through. We've got the old Advantage. That's cool in the navy blue. Try and come through here. AMG GTR in solar beam yellow. That was the look that I was going for with the GT Black series. Another one opposite, a couple of McLarens. Ultraviolet GT3 RS, always loved that colour on the 991.1. A Dawn that was driven here with the roof down, because why not? It might be very cold, but hey, looks the part. Is that a Superformance GT40 perhaps tucked in just there? Spot some Mustangs, plenty of other cool stuff, lots of different Porsches around. XR2 was getting the attention of Tom, who had come in the C63, parked it up just up this way, and there's a whole other car park in fact up there, and another beyond. Also, I just want to see what's in this little Porsche line that we have. Bright yellow 991.2 GT3 RS Weissach, 997 GT3 RS. Then we've got an F355. I think this is a Road 355 with some Challenge race car parts on it as well. 991.2 GT3, and there are other car parks up that way. So plenty of cool cars around today. What an event, and what a car to have driven here in also with the Guntherwerks, which is getting a lot of attention. We've got the boot open at the moment for everybody to check it out, because that engine bay is an absolute work of art. Well, that was a good reason to squeeze on through. Sound of the LaFerrari V12, which drew a big crowd instantly, unsurprisingly. We have the wonderful Ram of Tony from Turbo Transport. Let's come down with this. All sorts of different cars, look at that. It's just popped in as well. Lovely. All right, getting very cold, but enjoying everything that's going on here a lot. Yet more awesomeness rolling through. Seems to be a theme. Oh, that sounds good. Old school, very cool. Then heading the other way goes the STO. This is the launch colour scheme for it, but every spec on the STO I think works. It's so crazy, it just suits whatever you go for with it. Well, this is a cool view from up top, the Eggs, LaF, Paganis, and you can see that Aventador Roadster, actually, that belongs to Chiro from Petrol Hedonism. It's a pretty cool thing. I actually filmed that car about 7 or 8 years ago. What a view, looking down on the cars from up here. Let us have a slightly better look around here then. I can definitely hear an Aventador off that away, but we have the two green Koenigseggs. This has actually recently been purchased by the owner of the venue where we are today, Sopa's house, where of course I was up top a moment ago, but it's just arrived here, imported with Super Vettura. We've got the green carbon. There you go. We've got the green carbon with the green accents. It's looking lovely. Have a quick peek at the interior as well with the matching green stitching. All the details come through towards the back of the car. Always fantastic to see inside the Koenigsegg engine bay. The triplex suspension setup, carbon fibre for the airboxes. Everything just, well, a work of art. Obviously full carbon. Rear clam as well. Koenigsegg Agera S with the carbon air-core wheels. It's quite fun. Air-core technology tells you 6.572 kilos. Even tells you the pressures for the tyres on the wheel, which is quite fun as well. Yes, lovely thing. Then if we head through this way, so we've got the Pagani Huayra and the black LaFerrari. Huayra Coupe, one of the original 100 cars. LaFerrari, one of 499 original cars. Went on to make one more. Another of the Koenigseggs. I've seen this car a few times before, but the painted green here with the exposed carbon accents and the red pinstripe details around it. When it's time for the Koenigsegg 1-to-1 to roll out, pandemonium ensues. Look at that, listen to that. Sound of the turbo whistle. Up it goes, followed by a crowd of people to get the shots as a lovely spider rolls in. Okay, I need to get out of the way of the defender. Pagani Huayra rolling out. The red and gold always looks very, very nice. Driven properly. Good job, Carl. Slippy. We've just actually pulled the Guntherwerks here alongside the LaFerrari. I'm going to try and get a picture of it in a moment, although as you can see, it's still pretty busy around here before we will set off and head back with it. It's time to head out, so let's get this started back up. That sounds so good. Okay, so pull the door to. Oh, it just feels immensely cool to be in this thing. Might need to use the lift system to head out of here, but I think everything basically ready to go. So into gear, let's rock and roll. Oh, this sounds so cool, doesn't it? Okay, lift system up, we've got that. We've also got the sport mode that is now engaged, but I didn't try it on the way here. But that was a pretty nice event. Perfect place to bring a car like this, to be honest. So we'll let the C63 go first, following the footsteps of that, and then we will head out. Turning circle in here is definitely not the absolute best. But off we roll. Oh, this is so good. Instantly. I mean, it's a bit awkward, it's a bit hard work. You need to be thinking about what you're doing. You're not going to jump in here and just go and sit in traffic in central London or something. But to drive out, I mean, super cool of my friend who owns this to allow us to bring it today. An awesome, awesome, awesome thing, and so many people interested in what exactly it is as well. Gosh, either I had forgotten how loud it was, or the sport mode makes it louder. I need to play with this a little bit. Just the rawness, that's what most of this is about, the absolute rawness of it. Feeling that sense of power, that sense of excitement. But like I say, aware that it's an awkward thing to drive. And I think in many ways the emotion comes from the fact that it's not easy, from the fact that it's not like jumping into a new Turbo S or an F8 Tributo or something, where you don't really have to think about anything. You just start moving and the car does everything for you. Whereas in here, I'm now going to have a very fun hill start to have to manage. Let's hope I can get away without stalling it. I'll try my best. Oh, I can't see anything. We're good, right, out we go. Yes! So much yes! Listen to this as we go up through the gears. You feel it all. I'm not sure how much of the sound translates, but that flat six sound, obviously the engine made by Rothsport with quite a few components from other Porsche models, like a newer GT3 plenum and various other components. As we've seen inside the various areas as well, you have the adjustable damper reservoirs, so you could change the ride feel. Not that as it's set up right now, I'd say it's too rough. It's certainly at the rougher end. I think more, let's say, a track focus. And the Guntherwerks 911 to begin with is created with a dynamic focus, with, let's say, lap times. For example, with taking it to Laguna Seca as they did and setting a time of 1 minute 30.99, which is less than half a second behind the McLaren P1 at Laguna Seca. Think about that for a moment. And that's with this car with significantly less power, in fact less than half the amount of horsepower, but with a car that is so light and built so much with that in mind. Oh, it revs up beautifully. It's a lot of fun to drive. It is a lot of fun to drive. I will pop it back into the sport mode. Listen to that. It's so good. I will say that the turning circle, which I have alluded to, is far from the best. With some of the tighter junctions I've tried to turn out of, I've come a little bit close to not necessarily making it around because, well, I guess the pursuit for performance means with thick front tyres, that it's not exactly the most optimized for that kind of thing and maneuvering. But when you are on the move, obviously that becomes largely irrelevant. You get this beautiful engine, the way it revs up, the way it drives, the way it sounds and feels. It's an intoxicating feeling, glorious feeling. Goodness me. Just flipping it down through the gears as well. Cannot get enough of this. Absolutely cannot get enough of this. We are parked back up then where we began with the Guntherwerks. What a drive, but I suppose I should show you a few more things about this car while we've got it back here. We will of course get it cleaned up after the drive, but inside this is just a magnificent place. You can spend a lot of time looking around at all of the details beyond the obvious, let's say, carbon plaques with the Winchester logo here, but even the seat rail frame has the Guntherwerks etching out of it. The seat itself, these extra details, the leathers, the Alcantara, the materials, the dashboard, that full carbon dash looks beautiful. All of the different toggles, dials, everything you touch, all very nicely presented, especially this area behind the seats. I really, really like that. So much attention to detail across the entirety of the car and making it very, very special. As a result, just a really cool thing and such a talking point as well. What a car to have taken to today's Collecting Cars event. Really, really enjoyed that. Conscious of quite how low it is, thankfully having the lift system, but obviously the carbon spoiler right down on the ground, although it does have a skid plate underneath it. I did have to take a check, given of course it sits, well, it makes something like my STO look like it's almost an off-roader with how high the front end is. But that was a fantastic experience. What a fascinating car. And I really do think the future is going to be very interesting with these kind of projects, these kind of things exactly this, to be honest, taking this older style, this older appearance, this older ethos in terms of driving emotion and dynamics, and connecting it to the modern world, modern headlights, updated new car quite literally, but incorporating new technologies as well in terms of the engine components, in terms of the lightweight materials for the bodywork and for the wheels, and making it a fantastic drive as a result. So a huge thanks to my friend who owns this car for allowing me to take it out today. A huge thanks to everybody at Collecting Cars and today's event as well. A big congratulations to Nigel on his new Koenigsegg Agera, and great to see so many familiar faces back out at an event again. So thank you very much for watching, guys. I hope you've enjoyed this video today with the Guntherwerks 911 heading to the Collecting Cars meetup. But that is it for this time, and I'll see you again very soon. Cheers!